Welcome to After the Show, your weekly movie podcast brought to you by A. Scully and Sid Talk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Welcome to After the Show. Hello, Sid Talk. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine.
Doing well, doing well.
Doing well.
Yep.
I'm currently deleting a lot of stuff from my City Skylines game.
You like City Skylines, a PC game.
I do.
And soon there is City Skylines 2 coming out. Are you excited?
I'll be excited if I know I can cheat.
I'm sure you can. It's that kind of game, right?
This is not, well, this part of the before the after the show discussion is me testing out this new / hand-me-down graphics card that you put in my computer. And so I want to open one of my favorite games, see how it goes. And I've decided to purge everything. Now, I like to play games like The Sims and City Skylines with all of the modifications and cheats because I don't like a challenge. I just want to do it.
Right.
So right now I'm just cleaning the slate. I'm going to clean. Nobody cares, but that was before the after the show discussion.
PC games.
Yeah.
All right. It is Saturday, September the 16th. This is After the Show, number 804. We're a movie review podcast. Every week we bring you a movie review. This week we're bringing you the movie Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. It's a 2023 release, out now on streaming. It's PG-13 from our friends at Lucasfilm and Disney, who sent us a copy for review. Sid Talk, give us the synopsis of the movie Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Okay, get ready for it. It's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Classic.
That's the synopsis. That's it. Indiana Jones doing some shit, looking for a thing that's old and crackety. And that's it.
That's an absolute classic, Sid Talk, from the vaults. I'll give you the real one. Archaeologist Indiana Jones races against time to retrieve a legendary artifact that can change the course of history.
That is exactly what I said.
Well,
Indiana Jones and a crackety old piece of shit from history.
Maybe you should be working for Disney.
You know what? I really think I should.
So it's the fifth in the Indiana Jones series of movies. Sid Talk, what did you think?
Well, first, I love Indiana Jones' story and world. I just do. I mean, it's fun. I haven't disliked firmly and solidly almost anything. Well, I should say, there are a few things I have disliked solidly. A few. I didn't mind the alien situation from the Alien Crystal Skull one. I didn't like the sun situation.
Spoilers.
I didn't like the monkeys in the forest and all that. It's halfway lame a lot, the Crystal Skull. Now we're diving into where we're getting 70% lame because I get it. Indiana Jones, wonderful character. He's in love with history. He truly believes in the nature of what he's doing. And now he's older. And we have to find one more thing that takes him on an adventure that never needed to happen. Right? The world was not at threat. No. Not really. I mean, not the way it's written and played out. So the story is this. Indiana Jones and his friend back in World War II, which we always go back to because the Nazis are fucking idiots and terrible people, fighting against the Nazis, grabbing this artifact that was created by Archimedes, who's from like 2,000 years ago, that apparently can open up a hole or show you where to go for these openings in time.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so stay with me here. It's a little Doctor Who-ish. There are these sort of like big giant butthole-looking things that open up in the sky, apparently. That's like a big, it's sucking everything into it. It's a sky hole, we'll call it. That is a fissure in time that Archimedes figured out his little tool. And then the Nazis were one Nazi was getting a hold of it and wanted to then utilize it back then. Blah, blah, blah. Move forward. Indiana Jones and his friend thwarted that guy. And it is now the 1969. And of course that guy is back and he's looking for the thing again and blah, blah, blah.
A better title would be Indiana Jones and the Butthole of Time. Is that what you're saying?
Let's call it a sky hole of time, just to be nice. But really, the special effects are not I don't really care that often, about.
I cared.
It doesn't like ruin things for me often, but occasionally I can get a little bit overly distracted. And that butthole in the sky, and then just the poor dialogue and the lameness of the whole mission, it got to me a little bit. I'll be honest, even though I still enjoyed the adventure of it. And I'm going to say one thing here that I'm going to sound ageist. So stay with me if you want to turn me into some organization for being ageist. But here's what we've had to do, because Harrison Ford is not a young man.
Elderly.
Some would say. How he moves, the speed at which he moves, the speed at which he reacts and does everything. It's just nature, right? Well, what we've done is we've taken him as who he is in real life, that slowerness, and we've applied that to everything else. So when he's running down the street, or running down some stairs, even a person who's 30 years old now has to trail behind by a certain amount of speed so as not to catch up with them, right? Did you notice this?
Yes.
Any of the action that surrounded around Indiana had to be just sort of like slow motion, and it was not convincing. And I hate to say it, it's just no one was keeping tabs or addressing this. Like, we could have started off by saying, he could have said, I can't run the way I used to. I can't jump the way I used to. And then make an effort to be creative, right, throughout the entire movie, and have like this older gentleman finding creative ways to actually thwart the bad guys, not barely hitting them and making it look like a stunt when in fact, he wouldn't have really hit them very hard. So that's it. That's my whole ageist commentary on this.
A better title for the movie is Sluggish Jones and the Sky Hole of Destiny.
Sluggish. I don't think he's sluggish. He just is. Grandpa. Well, he's not grandpa.
Elderly
sadly.
Indiana Jones Adventures. Chronicles.
And we do have the sadness of his story tucked in there. You can tell them about that.
Oh, for about one line.
Yeah, it really was sad that they didn't address something that could have actually given it a lot of, It's
because I said to you, early on, where the hell's Mutt? Why is nobody talking about him?
Explain who Mutt is.
Mutt is Indiana Jones' son, who cropped up in the fourth movie, and played by Shia LaBeouf. So nobody's mentioning him. There's no photos of him at the beginning. It purposely pans across Indy's desk to show you a load of photos. But
including
there's no Mutt.
Marion and his father, who was Sean Connery.
Yeah, but no Mutt. But then
Not that
later,
I noticed. I mean,
I was looking hard. And then later on, in a line of dialogue, literally, maybe 5 lines of dialogue between them, they explain the whole thing.
Yeah.
He died in the war.
Vietnam, most likely.
He joined the war to piss his dad off.
He joined the service to piss off Indiana Jones, and then he died.
And then his mother couldn't get over the grief of it all.
Mother being Marion.
And she divorced Indiana Jones. And that's literally how it's
She was
told.
in the process. It had the paper that we saw on his desk was just a legal separation. So they hadn't divorced yet, but
that's how it's told to you.
Yeah.
The amount of time I gave it is the amount of time this movie gives it. Right?
Yeah, and if you could use that to kind of heft up, address the aging issue, address the totally broken-hearted man. Don't even get me started on all the innocent people who get murdered by the stupid fucking Nazis, and everybody just, luckily he in the end says, my friend was just murdered. Because she was all cheering and shit, when they're getting away with something.
Doing a one-liner.
Right. Here's one thing that if you've listened to enough of our podcasts, you probably have to listen to all of them to pick up on this. But if a movie doesn't have the balance or commitment, right? So you can balance things like tragedy and comedy. You can balance things like hokiness, like in Guardians of the Galaxies, like hokey one-liners, and also give enough to the idea that there's a threat in the whole of the universe based on what we're seeing in the story, right? So you balance it, or you commit. You go all in, like Batman with the darkness and that Batman who's not funny and totally serious, and that works. Or you go totally wacky with whatever. This movie doesn't do any of that. It dabbles in the sadness and the realities of something, and then it goes full whack, and then it goes middle of the road, sort of like Short Round, but not quite to that level.
Okay, so here's my issues with this movie. It starts with like an almost 20-minute younger Indiana Jones sequence. It's a big action sequence. It's okay, but I'm totally distracted because it looks like video game Indiana Jones.
You know what? That didn't bother me.
And I hated it. Every time they shined a light in his face because they were trying to show you how clever they are, making him younger. I was like, don't shine the light in his face. Let's see him in the dark. It's much better.
I get you.
So all that bugged me. Okay. So then we cut to elderly Indiana Jones going to his school where college that he works at, doing his lecture. I liked that. That kind of puts me, this is where Indy is. I like it. Then there's a really dumb CG chase through a big parade on a horse and through a subway. And everything looks green screen, and it's really annoying.
It didn't look great.
And it almost looks blurry.
It did.
And bad, right?
Yes.
Like, nothing looks like great. So then we've got that. Then it takes a turn to go on in a standard Indiana Jones adventure. So we go off around the world. And in the places around the world that we go to, what do? We have another chase that looks like garbage. We have a traditional let's go in a place to solve a puzzle, but with none of the interesting stuff. No traps, nothing like that, right? Like, where's the rolling boulder? Where's the snakes? Where's the Indiana Jones stuff? So I'm annoyed by all that.
Is there anything you liked?
Then
we're not done.
Then it gets to the third act, and the third act involves time travel, which I was up for because I was like, okay, if we're going to do something, let's do something. They do some time travel stuff that amounts to absolutely nothing, and then it gets to the end of the movie, and it also is really ambiguous with its ending, whether, is this Indy's last adventure or not? And then I'm like, fuck off, movie.
And you are not this person. You're not that person. You almost always try to find,
Yeah.
Oh, that was fine, or that didn't bother me, but it was a lot.
Well, yeah, every part that came up where I was like, oh, okay, this is Indiana Jones, they missed something out, or it just didn't have the heart of what I wanted. It just felt like there was no middle to it. Core, heart.
I get you.
And I don't know why, and I think it might have been to do with everything looked CG. Nothing felt dangerous at all. Even when he stood on top of a train and literally aircraft guns are firing at the train, killing all the Nazis, I never felt like Indy was ever in trouble.
I feel like that kind of goes back to my point about we have to make sure that nothing exceeds even back then he was portrayed as being younger, so it wasn't about the aging thing.
No, it really wasn't, because that wasn't even him, I guess. It was a body double with a CG head.
So we've said a lot of bad stuff.
So that's the bad stuff. The good stuff for me is Marion. I love Marion.
She was in it for like 2 minutes, dude.
Yeah, it's not enough. Like I say, everything that I like there's not enough.
Also, the only thing about Marion is she's super fucking sad.
Yes.
Because their son died. I mean, there's nothing like, and we can't go back from that. You can't tell us that happened and then have them be plucky and, coy with each other and flirty and weird. It was just a dramatic, sad moment between these two people with nothing else to alleviate it. And while I'm not too upset about the idea of killing off the son, who I think everyone agrees that was a weird addition to the story anyway, I'm sad that they've had to deal with it, but you could have also just said, we haven't heard from him in 15 years. He just took off. And you know what I mean? Like, why did you layer this extremely tragic...
And the goddaughter thing.
Well, the goddaughter thing makes sense to me totally. Like, he would have a friend, and Indiana Jones is the woman who's sort of with him as an antagonist and protagonist combined, like the anti-hero lady, is his goddaughter, because another friend of his was also an archaeologist and historian, and that makes sense to me. I have no problem with that.
There's probably another version of this movie where Shia LaBeouf, a.k.a. Mutt, doesn't die, and he is the goddaughter in this. Not the goddaughter, but he's the person who's along for the ride.
I don't know about that. That wouldn't make as much sense, because the idea was her father was his friend who figured out all the stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just saying retooled. It could have been Mutt along for the ride with his dad.
I think Mutt being missing is fine.
A rollicking adventure with his dad, like the third Indiana Jones movie.
It wasn't good. So no, why would we do that?
No, the third movie was amazing.
Not with him in it.
No, the fourth movie was not amazing.
He wasn't in the third one.
No, I'm talking about an Indiana Jones and his dad, and that would go back to that.
Oh, you're talking about Sean Connery.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, then you
Right, but the problem is, once we established that Mutt was not great, a great character, I'm not a Shia LaBeouf fan, so that needed to disappear. And what I'm saying is, you didn't have to have him die. You could have just said, he's not been around, and then in the last scene, have him show up or something. You know what I mean?
It's like the least of this movie's problems, though.
True. Again. And here I am rewriting it. And I always say to people, if you don't like it, write your own. That's fair enough. I'm being a hypocrite. But this is why these are the symptoms of when a movie that's so classic and it's ingrained in us for all of our adult life since we were teenagers, Indiana Jones, right?
Yes.
That the things that make it not great are even bigger. It's like it's magnified. And so it's a disappointment more than like, I'm not critiquing it. Like, I'm just saying, I want it to be good.
Yeah. And all the great moments from the original movies, they try and do some kind of version of them.
Correct.
But none of them are that interesting.
So let's give some examples. For example, in the original movies, he hates snakes. In this one, he's down, which is one of the most
eels.
Terrible little mini adventures, is going to the bottom of the sea, which was really stupid and made no sense and looked awful and everything. So there's eels down there. And then he's like, they look like snakes. And he's like, no, they don't look like snakes.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be eels, right? Then we have he's got his whip and all these men point guns at him.
Yep.
And we know from the past that him up against a formidable foe, all he had to do was pull out his gun and shoot them. But in this one, we kind of try to acknowledge that he's not going to do that again.
There's a bunch of that. Like, hey, remember this? We're going to call back to it, but it won't be as good.
And one of my saddest things is when the dun 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 dun
John Williams,
when that comes on, it's meaningless. I'm just like, no, don't put that on this scene.
I think the issue on it is they try to play it whenever they possibly can, just because they're like, hey, listen to this, you know this.
No, see, I noticed they didn't play it for a long time.
They played it too much for me.
Oh, they didn't play it for a really long time.
It made it less impactful.
I think you're noticing it more just because you were already down on it, but they didn't really pull it out that often. Not the actual, hero moments, And then I was like, no, this isn't that.
And, when Indy goes into a tomb or something like that, a.k.a. Tomb Raider, there should always be, they've done it before, but, it's what Indiana Jones is. There should always be a trap or something to work out that is interesting. And what do they work out? Oh, there's gas in this room. Oh, look, let's put these objects in this water. We've solved it, the end.
I didn't think the gas was even associated with that. That's what was confusing.
Yeah.
So they're in a scene where they're in a cave down inside where Archimedes or whoever was back in the day built some sort of monument. And there's this pool, a cement rock pool of water. They both go, well, she's struggling with breathing. He seems totally 100% fine.
Superhuman.
And he's like, it's methane. And then he's like, Archimedes was obsessed with water displacement. So he starts throwing cement things in the water to move the water up.
And then they solved the puzzle.
And then it opens and they fall. But the methane thing, do we have no explanation for that?
No, but also, where's the trap, really? Where's the fun thing to work out? He worked it out in 1 second. It wasn't Indiana Jones. You need something cool. You need I don't know. Everything felt flat to me, so that was
flat
the problem.
Is a good way to describe it. And also visually, I'm over the whole yellow jaundice look that I'm seeing in lots and lots of wedding photography and children photography and films and shorts and YouTube videos. Everyone's giving everyone this golden / jaundice yellow green look. And I just have an aversion to it. My brain doesn't process it as being a nice look. This movie goes from that to stark, bright blue looking to the yellow again. It's not
and it never looks real, does it?
Doesn't, unfortunately. It would make a great animated movie. Make it animated, travel in time with Indiana Jones and make it really awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah, the problem is, like, I felt like they were on a green screen. Like, I actually felt like it, like, all the time. That parade, it was
a lot.
I mean, the parade was so busy and there's so many things going on. It just felt like there was nothing.
It felt like there was a lot going on to hide the fact that it wasn't going to look for... do you think anyone listening is getting sick of us complaining?
And that's kind of fun to have...
Do you think everyone listening is going to get tired of us complaining?
Well, it's kind of fun to have Indy go on a horse, again, another callback, but through the subway this time.
So you're not addressing my issue, my question.
All right, let's move on. The cast is Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, of course, elderly Indiana Jones. I think he does it well.
I don't have a problem with him being older.
I think he gave it his all, to be fair.
I would rather him be older than the alternative, which is to not be with us anymore. So I don't have a problem with that at all. I just want the people who write the story to integrate and acknowledge.
Yeah, I think he did really well. I think he threw himself into it and did it how I expected it to be, and I didn't feel like he was bad.
I think the sad moments were really good.
Yeah. And I noticed you were crying at the
Yeah, because I was just thinking about it like, that's fucked
3
up.
lines of dialogue and she's crying.
Yeah.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge plays Helena. She's the goddaughter. She was irritating to me at the beginning, but then she grew on me a little bit towards the end.
She was never irritating to me, but again, I think flat is a good word.
I hated the characterization of is she the bad guy? Is she okay?
Yeah.
I hated that. It just felt unnecessary, and also, I mean, you can figure it out just by looking at it.
She's portraying it very like cheeky and bouncy and fun, like Marion in the original. And yet we're really talking about like a bigger, darker thing.
Yeah.
So I think she's fine. She's fine, but she wasn't given great material.
Antonio Banderas plays Ronaldo, the ship captain. He's the diving captain guy.
I'm not sure why we're mentioning him. It's like literally 1 line of dialogue, maybe 2.
I like him. He's good. They played it like he's like a callback from the past.
As is the guy from Egypt, correct?
Well, that guy actually is. He was in all of the third film. Antonio is not. We've never seen him before.
Oh, I thought maybe we had. I'd forgotten.
No, I don't.
I thought I forgot.
But they were playing it that way. Hey, do you remember this guy?
Do you remember my friend who happens to have a boat and diving equipment for us to go dive to the bottom of the ocean in this very specific place for this very specific thing?
Because the plot needs this right now. We've got Karen Allen as Marion. I love Karen Allen. I love Marion. She's literally in it for 2 minutes.
I'm not sure if I love Karen Allen. I mean, I haven't seen her in, I don't think, anything else. Maybe. Yeah,
well, she's one of my favorite Indiana Jones characters.
You love Marion.
Yes. I like her as Marion. Yes.
Bye.
Toby Jones as Basil Shaw. He's the dad of Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
He's Indiana Jones's friend in the beginning, who is on the hunt.
A friend that we don't know about again.
Then we flash back to the past when he's losing his mind trying to find this dial of Archimedes. And he's fine, but you know what? You know what I was thinking of the whole time. 2 things. 1,
Wayward Pines. And
2, isn't he the Hydra?
He is, yes. Yeah. Yes.
That's all I kept thinking about.
Yeah.
Twin Pines. There's a good one.
No, not Twin Pines. Wayward Pines.
Wayward Pines. There's a good one.
So good, you don't remember them?
Twin Peaks. There's a good one.
Mads Mikkelsen, who always, I think, pulls off what he's doing, plays Dr. Voller. I think he's really good. I think he's
the most committed.
He's very committed, and I've never been disappointed when I've seen him in anything. He's just in whatever the character is. And yes, he does get typecast a little bit.
What we've established is that his character was a Nazi alongside Adolf Hitler.
Uh-huh.
But he's also psychotic, and that he thinks he could do it better than Hitler. So he's more dangerous, and he's very calm and committed to it. That's what I loved, is that this guy is unstoppable, and I want him to have a really good end.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, it didn't.
But Mads really pulls it off. Might have been my favorite thing in the movie.
He was good.
And then we've got Ethan Isidori as Teddy Kumar. He's the kid character.
He's the short round of the 21st century.
He is the short round.
Oh, short round might have been in the 21st century.
And this movie's got such writing where it's like, when he's first introduced on the screen, he's learning how to fly a plane.
He's learning how to fly a plane by sitting at a table in a bar with a bunch of grown-ups and like cups with pieces of paper taped to them. And this pilot, apparently an American soldier, yelling and laughing and telling him, oh yeah, push this button. He's pretending to fly. And then you're like, oh, so in the future.
I mean, the telegraphing of this movie is far from subtle. You see things like an hour before it happens.
I mean, that's old-fashioned, so I don't mind it. But yeah, it's quite...
Now, this is directed not by Steven Spielberg, who directed the first three. First four, actually. This is directed by James Mangold, who's directed Night and Day. We talked about that the other day. Copland, Walk the Line, Logan. He's directed many movies. What do you think of James Mangold's directing here?
None of those fit this. What was he thinking?
Those are like high quality...
Was he brought on... I mean, I don't know about all of them, but was he brought on board late in production or something? Because this movie has no voice, and I'm going to say that sound like a pretentious twat, but there's no stamp of anybody or anything. It doesn't feel like an Indiana Jones movie overall. It doesn't have the vibe. It doesn't have the look. It doesn't have the cuts. It doesn't have the editing of anyone specifically at all. It is like smashed together. And so I'm just wondering, was he always the director? You know?
Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's get on to the IMDb reviews. These are people on IMDb who gave this movie a 1 star.
Hold on. Are you one of these people?
And let me tell you, this week, there's a few. This week, there's 122 1-star reviews.
I'm surprised that that's all there is.
Right. So here's the first guy. He says, the first 20 minutes are acceptable, and then the sick female sociopath ruins it all. The writer should be punished. And there's nothing good after the first 20 minutes. Harrison Ford is acting good, but he's simply too old for this kind of movie. This is super bad script that should have been burned.
I mean, I'm glad it exists. It doesn't mean I have to like it.
Second one says, very, very disappointed as a long-term indie viewer. I wasn't expecting the old magic, but I had hoped for a respectful send-off for a wonderful character. Instead, we got a disrespectful and depressing broken-down indie with sad character development that no one wanted, blundering harmlessly through CGI environments led by his insufferable granddaughter. He called it a granddaughter, but...
Yeah, probably wasn't paying attention. That'd be goddaughter.
Yes. And finally, there's no way the ending wasn't tacked on. It feels so unresolved and makes zero sense. I really wanted to like the movie, and outside of a few rumours, I avoided all the reviews. The rumours were true, though. It was disjointed, and a sudden shift/disconnected ending was completely true. If you want to see a resolved story, you will be leaving the theatre disappointed. I mean, the ending does feel like it comes on quick. I mean, true. I did feel like that was what was going to happen, though, i.e. travelling through time. This does go there.
Yeah, so we go through time, and we're actually in the past, 2,000 years ago, when the Romans attack Syracuse, not Syracuse, New York. And then shit happens. And then the next thing we know, we're back in Andy's apartment in New York City.
And it's over.
Indiana Jones is fine. And then Marion comes and...
the end.
They go for ice cream. That's it.
Yeah, it just wraps itself up really quickly. I don't know. Maybe it was a troubled production. Who knows? So
I'm voting yes.
Those are the IMDb reviews. So we didn't see any extras. Conclusion, we're going to give this a score. I'm going to give Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny 5 out of 10.
I'm going 4.7.
I liked it better than the last one, but I would have given the last one about a 3. So I didn't like it that much better than the last one, though. It's disappointing, isn't it?
I think I'm going to lower my score. I'm going down to 4 because
all right,
it exists. It's in the Indiana Jones world, and it's moving forward on a new object that I didn't know existed. And if it exists in real historical literature somewhere, interesting, get to go to a new place. I like that kind of stuff. But the other 6 points are all easily pointed out the not a satisfying collection of moments of my life.
Thank you, Indiana Jones, for ruining our day.
No. Well, look at this. We've got a whole conversation out of it, so yes. We're good. We're good.
Yes, we're good. We'll take it. Bad, good, whatever.
Correct.
They say it's the last you'll see of Indiana Jones. I don't believe them. So, the way it ended, I do not believe them. Next year after, we'll be after the show number 8050. Hey, it's Indiana Jones 6. Maybe it's good this time. That would be what it's called. So thank you to Lucasfilm and Disney. Next week, we're looking at an A24 horror movie called Talk to Me.
A24. Woo-hoo-hoo.
So yeah, that'll be very different to this week's review. Movie recommendations.
We don't know.
I'm going with a Harrison Ford movie that I really like. And it's called Frantic. Do you know it? Mm-hmm. I think it's my favorite Harrison Ford movie. So I'm going to recommend it to
Not, you know what? Not the, no.
Yeah, no. Out of all the movies.
Androids, future.
You mean Blade Runner?
Yes.
I love Blade Runner, but Frantic comes straight to my mind when I think of Harrison Ford. So,
it does not. It does not. You know that Indiana Jones and Han Solo come first.
No, for me, Frantic comes in my mind because it's one that I really liked. And my second one is if you're into Nazis and you're into zombies, I would give you the movie Overlord, which was a J.J. Abrams production. It was Bad Robot. It wasn't. He didn't direct it, but it was a really freaking cool Nazi zombie movie. I would also give you Dead Snow.
Yep.
But I like Overlord. It's really cool. Yours are?
Mine are going back through the 21st century to the year 2000. I'm only doing science fiction for the whole of this year. We're already up to the middle of September, middle/3/4 of the way through. So I'm up to 2018 in my list. These aren't movies of quality. These are just movies of quantity. These are the movies I've seen. I don't remember them all, but I know I've seen them because they're on my list. So in 2018, we have The First Purge.
Yes.
We like the Purge world.
Yes.
We have The Meg. The Meg was 2018.
We're actually very shortly going to review The Meg 2.
But can you believe that was 2018?
I can believe that, yeah.
5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems like we just watched it like last fall or something. The Predator, 2018. We're going to leave that where it is because it's not
that
Predator.
One's bad. Yeah,
it's not
I didn't
Predator.
Like that one.
I love Predator and Alien World. I love Predator World.
I hated that one.
I love Predator the original. I don't mind the iterations of it, but that one wasn't. I even forgot it existed. We also have The Purge from 2018. So I guess they did The Purge and then they did another movie in the same year? Called The First Purge?
I don't think they did two movies in the same year.
Was The Purge the TV show?
Yes, probably.
2018? Again?
I swear last week you said these movies. Have you changed this out since last week?
I did change it.
Because The Titan was the last movie you went for last week, and we were like, we don't know what that is.
Oh, let me look at the spreadsheet.
I think you're basically saying last week's movies again.
No.
Because I remember The Meg as well.
No, last week was Pacific Rim Uprising, Rampage, Ready Player One, The Cloverfield Paradox.
Oh.
Yeah.
I remember you saying The Titan and me going, what the hell's The Titan about?
Maybe I switched some of them around, but that's okay.
Confusion.
All of them up to the Titan. Oh, okay. I get what I did. Okay. So the two that I'm going to recommend this week, they're different from last week, are The Purge 2018, which we still have on here for some reason.
The TV show.
I mean, sorry, we're going back. Ready Player One.
Yes.
And Cloverfield Paradox.
Okay.
Those make... Okay. I guess somehow I got my little spreadsheet mixed up.
I'm confused. You're confused. We're all confused. Hey, Scully stuff this week. I have played... There's a free trial of The Crew Motorfest, which is essentially The Crew 3, which is Ubisoft's racing series of games. This 5-hour trial, I played maybe an hour and a half of it. It makes me want to buy it, but not at the $70 price tag that they're asking for, Sid Talk. So my favorite thing to do with trials is I'll try the trial out, and then I'll go, yeah, I really like that game. I would play it. And then I go and put that game on a wish list somewhere. Tell it to tell me when it's less than $20. You think that's a good way of doing it?
Always less than $20.
You know how long it takes for a game to go from 70 to 20?
5 years.
About 5 months.
Oh.
So if you can wait, you will get a good bargain. So that's how I feel about The Crew 3. I liked it, but I didn't like it that much that I would be willing to buy it right now. But I will in the future. It's a racing game. It's, if you like The Crew, it's a similar thing, but it takes place on the island of Hawaii, and you do loads of different races, you upgrade your cars, it's an open world thing. It's really cool. It looks good. You saw it, didn't you?
Yes, a little bit.
It's just a really cool looking, next generation looking racing game. I'd recommend it, but maybe not for $70. Sid Talk, what's for dinner?
Tonight, we're going to have some cheese tamales, not that I'm making myself, and some rice, and I forget what else. Some chips.
Sauce, you wrote on the
sauce.
outline.
Yes, some sauce made out of some Rotel and something else. But just tamales and rice sounded really good, so.
And give us your advice, and then we'll leave.
My advice is, I didn't make this up. So if this sounds totally new to you, don't be fooled. I didn't invent this idea. Practice makes perfect. I know. It's it's genius.
I've never heard of this.
And I disagree with the perfect part because I don't think there is perfection of anything at all. But putting your hands on or looking at or reading up on or thinking about or doing parts of tasks or chore, whatever it is, every day, or at least hit upon it on a very regular basis, it does make you better. I know it's really hard and I hate it. I think it's fucking bullshit, but I accept that it's the truth because, like today, I was messed with some of my photography stuff. I'm also messing with some peppers because I'm trying to learn how to like preserve food and do different things with food that I've grown because I've grown a bunch of peppers this year. And at the beginning of the morning, I was like, ugh. I mean, I don't have to do anything. It's movie day. But what I would like to do is get more familiar with opening and closing the battery compartments on my flashes for, taking photos and getting them in the battery chargers and being mindful of how long it takes them and how long do the batteries last and getting them off and on the light stands, all that kind of stuff. And also, I've got these peppers. I should do something with them and experiment with that. But before that, I didn't want to do anything. But knowing that if I just do a little bit, so all I did was take the batteries out, mess with the things, put them in the chargers, cook down the peppers, a little bit, look up a couple videos about stuff, read a couple of recipes about what to do with pepper puree, and then it's in my mind. It's like plant the seed every day, essentially. And I don't know if you agree with that, but like with playing a game or building a computer or like with my job, like if you just keep on all the skills on a regular basis, as much as some of us hate that, I really do hate routine and consistency. It's like it's anti my DNA, or whatever my personality traits are. It's just that I want to be really good at some things and I've learned to accept. Now, here's the deal. I also know that I should be healthier and be more fit and weigh less pounds. And yet the commitment and the routine to get there is never going to happen. I'm never going to wake up in the day and be like, oh, if I just go walk for half an hour, just a little bit, right? I'll be moving toward that being healthier, that perfect health, because I can always talk myself out of that.
Well, what have we done this week? What was
True.
healthy?
On the side note, we did ride our bikes 3 days this week, and it was very fun. I loved it. The first couple days, very painful. Third day, not so bad.
And it was fun.
It was, but we didn't do it today. Although yesterday was hilarious. This is another side note. You get my bike off the car, tires flat, and then my things are crooked, and my floppy stand at the bottom is broken.
Yeah, it was like mechanic day.
Yes.
So I had to repair a flat tire right out in the field there, on the grass.
I mean, it wasn't a field, it's a park, but close enough.
The field. I mean, I'm working in the field. That kind of thing. But
it was fun. But again, I'm not going to be convincing myself every day to get on my bike and ride to burn calories and be more fit. I'll just be like, I'm not really into it today. But the photography and the cooking and the art, those things I want to keep getting better at. So pick and choose. Pick and choose.
So is that your advice over?
That's my advice over and done with.
ascully.com is the website you can go to get this podcast. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm A Scully. She's Sid Talk.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Is that a new social media site?
It is. Twitter/X/Facebook/Threads/Instagram.
There should be no slash. It should be all one word. Sure. And it's a new thing.
All right. You can also get this podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube. That's a new site. And you can also email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Do not email Sid Talk. She does not accept electronic mail.
Not on a regular basis.
Stay classy, Mr. Indiana Jones. You know, you could have gone out a little bit better than this. But I'm still not convinced you've gone out.
Aye. And I'm going to say, think for yourself, because if you don't do it, someone's doing it for you.